and good evening to all of you. Good morning if you're watching at another time. Greetings to all of you. It is a beautiful opportunity to be able to watch others on social media and learn. That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to learn. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are indeed honored to have a special guest tonight and to learn a lot. So I hope you got your pen and your paper, call your friends, your neighbor, your family members, and have them to join us for this very invigorating conversation. I am Valerie D. Johnson, the host of the Wow, I Need to Know That show. And I am very honored to have you with us tonight. Again, please like, share, hearts, all of that. We need all of that tonight. We will have a moment for you to ask questions at the end. So get ready, send those questions as we get towards the end. Be sure you're writing everything down so you know exactly what you want to ask tonight. So let's get started. I am honored. I am absolutely honored to have Louwendy Jenkins with us tonight. She is an incredible person. And so I'm only going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'll let her tell you a little bit more about her because her bio is extensive. So Louwendy is a 31-year retired postal service employee, and we are thankful for your service. I don't care how you service in the government. Thank you. It doesn't matter. We thank you for your service. 31 years is a long time. She's considered herself a serial entrepreneur. Did you hear what I said? Serial. So, and I mean SERIL, not serial. So listen, we're in for an absolute treat tonight. I'm telling you. She's also often referred to as the get paid lady. Pay attention daily, pay attention. What was the middle one? What did I get?
It's pay attention, identify daily.
Identify daily. That's the word I was missing there. Yes, I can't wait to hear more about that. She has been the host on other shows. You should check her out. The hit show Building Empires.tv. And then she has some new endeavors. One I'm sure she'll tell us about at least towards the end. I'd like to hear a little bit about Ladies in Red, Ready, Enthusiastically Driven. I'm telling you, I don't know if you're ready for this idea that she's going to share with us about that. She has an idea that I think we all need to adapt when we get ready to have events. So just put a pin in that. So, Louwendy, I'm not gonna prolong the time. I want you to jump in here because there is so much to talk about, and I know people are ready to hear about a concept creator. But anyway, introduce yourself first, and then we'll get into that.
Yes, I am Louwendy Jenkins, and as you stated before, I retired from the post office in 2017, 31 years, and I was married to my husband, late Ronald Jenkins, for 31 years. And I have 6 children, but I really can't say children because they're all grown now. And I am just really at this present moment, just really enjoying the stage of life where I am right now. I could go on and on and on and on, just like you said before, but I'm going to allow our conversation to dictate exactly what I say.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Again, thank you and welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight. So let's just get right into it. What is a concept creator? And what's the difference between a concept creator and a content creator?
A concept creator is very, very simple. It's pretty much saying a concept creator is a problem solver. In a nutshell, that's who we are and that's what we do. We solve problems. To whereas a content creator, after the problem is solved, they take the concept and they market it.
Listen, we have a lot of content creators.
We have a lot
of we have
yes.
people who have at least proclaimed themselves as concept creators, and those people are needed in the earth. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I personally have had ideas and I'm like, okay, I know I can do this. And I get to a certain point and I stop. I have people call me all the time asking for help with generating things to do to get their idea off the ground. So it's much needed. So I'm really excited about this. And I got a feeling that by the end of this, you're going to have some phone calls. Some people are going to need to hire you to get some help. So all right, let's just jump into it. So, who needs it? We talked about people who have ideas, but at what point do you call a concept creator? Is it I just came up with this idea? Do I need to sit down and write it out and get a lot of details before I call someone or call you for this idea? Where do we go? Who needs a concept creator?
Well, first of all, we as individuals must realize that our ideas come from thoughts. And we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to recognize. Because when we have thoughts, thoughts come from worrying, stress, our desires, our day to day routine, mundane things. 60,000 thoughts a day. Now, from those thoughts, we have desires. We have things that we actually want to do. And what we do is we take from those thoughts and then we actually create an idea. It's like, okay, I have this idea for this project or this program, or either, anything as far as your families or your friends. Ideas come from our thought. And once we have an idea and we take the idea and we begin to focus on it, that's when we can take this idea and create a concept in order to make it a reality.
That's good. That's really good, and it makes sense to me that um, it does come in stages, and it's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
okay. You know, it doesn't have to be done tomorrow, but it does. You need to progress towards something. So how do we turn an idea into a concept and then a concept into a reality? And I think this is the meat of our conversation. Like, what do we do? What are our steps?
Okay, first of all, whenever I meet with someone, the very first thing I ask Valerie is, what do you want? Because if you don't know what you want, there's no way I can give you what you want if you don't know what you want. So the very first thing is you must know what you want. Okay, so that's number one, people. What do you want? And I remember when I was talking with you and you was telling me that whenever you have a conversation with your guest, it starts with the 5 W's. That's how I turn ideas into concepts and concepts into realities. I start with the 5 W's. So the first one is what? What do you want? And then the second thing is your why. Why do you want what you want? Because it's your why that's going to push you, it's going to motivate you, and it's going to keep you going. So your why must be strong. Okay? So after your why, that's when I take what you told me and I create an idea from that. And the idea is the end. I always start with the end in mind because that gives me a target goal. So my ideas always start with the end in mind. And once I understand the end, then I'm able to create the concept. And from the concept, that's where all of the problem solving comes into play. Your when, your where, and your who. And from that, we're able to establish the reality of everything, which is the execution, your how. How do we do what we do? And people complicate things, Valerie, but it really isn't that complicated. It really is the 5 W's. I call it the 5 W's and the how. Your who, what, when, where, and how. And a lot of times we as individuals, we really do need people to talk with. And I do understand now AI is taking over a lot of things. You know, you can key in what you want, how you want it, and it will actually lay out the groundwork for you. But you still have individuals who need that personal interaction with somebody. You need somebody to ask you the right questions. You need somebody by your side to hold your hand. And that's where a concept creator come into play.
Yes, I mean that is just perfect because I think that is exactly where so many people are. Like they're trying to figure out the what. Maybe they already have what, but maybe don't have the rest of it. And I think that's a good map that if you're listening tonight, you should be taking notes because I am absolutely taking notes. So when you identify what it is, then you need to start thinking about. I'm a firm believer in that you need to take time to dream, to daydream, to think through. So set aside some time, at least this is what I think, set aside some time to really think through those ideas. What are your thoughts about that? Like in terms of somebody trying to develop that thought.
In the earlier stage of my business, Valerie, one of the things I discovered is this: we as humans, okay, the answers lie within us. Everything that I've been teaching since 1989 all the way up until now is this: the answers lie within you. They're buried inside of us. For some of us, the only thing you have to do is just meditate and ask yourself questions, because the answers are inside of you. So your desires, your wishes, the things that you want, your dreams, they are all inside of you. And your skill set, the things that you know how to do, the things that you must learn how to do, the only thing you have to ask yourself is, okay, what it is that I want to do. And if you have to develop a skill in order to obtain that dream, you can do that. But it still starts with, what do you want?
What do you want?
What do you
Yeah,
want?
yeah.
And a lot of times people always say, well, I don't really know what I want. I don't know my purpose. I don't know what I should be doing. But I'm telling you, you do. It's inside of you, because we were all born with a purpose. We were all born with a mission. Sometimes we don't get an opportunity to complete our mission. Sometimes we don't get an opportunity to fulfill those dreams because for whatever reason. But what I am telling you is this: the answers lie within.
Yeah. And so, I often, sometimes I'm looking at situations, and having worked at a school with all girls, I learned a lot about how people process, and how
Right.
we have ideas, and sometimes they're not being developed because we don't have the support system that we need. Sometimes we're just hanging around the wrong people. And so there are times when, if I need to be inspired, or I need to, like, okay, I'm feeling down about this idea, I can't get through it. Sometimes I'll call one of my creative friends, and maybe not even talk about that, but to even have a conversation about just random stuff. But it could be just to, like, okay, and I have a girlfriend now. If I call her, she's like, oh, why don't you do this? Why? She kind of like you, like, what have you thought about this? And then by the time I got off the phone, I'm like, just like the conversation I had with you, I was like, oh, I didn't think about that. And so it got me going. So what am I saying? People, you need to get around people who are also motivated, because people who are not motivated, that can be some negative, you don't want that kind of energy around you. So be sure you're surrounding yourself with people who, like, yeah, like, do it, go, even if they can't help you, go. So Louwendy, I think what you do is so important, because somebody needs that. Like, somebody needs that motivation. And even if they don't have it at home, if I got a content creator, then I'm like, hey, this is what I need. What I need to do.
I
So
remember when you and I first spoke, and it was at first I thought it was just going to be like a general conversation, maybe like 10-15 minutes, but I think we stayed on the phone for at least about an hour and a half. And that's only because, number one, because of the name of your show, the title of your show. Wow.
yeah.
I needed to know that. And I was like, man, Valerie, what about this? What about that? Because I am a concept creator, whenever I hear someone's dream or their passion, my brain instantly goes into the problem solving mode. And that's how come when I was talking with you, I was able to make suggestions. Valerie, have you thought about this? Have you thought about doing that? Because that's who I am, and that's what I'm good at.
Yeah, yeah. And I listen, when I got off the phone with you, I was like, oh my God. And I was writing down stuff. And again, this is, I do this often for other people. But I
Right.
was like, oh my God, let me write this down. Let me write that down. And just the wheel started turning. So I think I think it's so important. So I want to talk. I want to go really for those people who, and I know that there are people on this line who have an idea right now, and they're like, I have nowhere to start. I know why. I know what. I don't have no money to do it. And it just seems really impossible. What are some of the simple things you can tell us? Now, they can hire you, but I'm just saying, what are some of the simple things that they can do to keep themselves from getting stuck? We talked about surround yourself with the right people, call somebody that has a lot of energy. But can you give us some more things to think about as we try to develop, or not to get stuck? We don't want to get stuck.
Okay, usually there are two different ways you can go. First, but I remember when I first started Nichols Knights Productions. I started Nichols Knights Production because the very first nonprofit organization of business I had was NTD. It was a nonprofit organization for kids with nothing to do. And
Mhm.
because I knew that this business had, well, all businesses have two functions. You have your activities and you have your business. So
Mhm.
whenever I did my activities, Valerie, my business was lacking. And so when I concentrated on my business, my activity was lacking. So I kind of somewhat said, okay, I'm going to put NTD on hold and I'm going to create a business where I help other people with their business. So I created Nichols Knights Productions. So when I created Nichols Knights Productions, I didn't know anything about videotaping, so I brought myself a camera. I didn't know anything about social media, so I started where I was. So that's very important. Start where you are. If I knew that I was going to help other people, the very first thing I wanted to do was start. I had to learn about production. And so, in order for me to learn about production, I had to learn about cameras, editing, so on and so forth. So, I actually started my first YouTube channel about hair because because I am good with hair. I know what to do with hair. I know a lot about hair. So I started where I was and I started with something that I knew. That's number one. And number two, you also have those individuals who they can't just start. They have to write everything down. They plan. So if you are a planner, if you are a problem solver, if you are goal oriented, that's perfectly fine too. Then you write out your plan and then you start. One of the reasons why most people don't get started is because they don't start. And
Right.
it's, and I really do try to make it as simple as that because it really is as simple as that, Valerie. Most people don't start because they don't start. Just start where you are.
that 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 I mean, spot on. There's a quote or something that says somebody correct me, that the graveyard is filled with a lot of dreams because
Les
they never
Brown.
did.
Les
Yeah,
Brown.
yeah,
Hmm.
they never started. So I'm just, while I'm not going to I'm going to pause just a minute because I want to read you something in the comment section. So
Okay.
Josh says, "Yeah, it's the start part for a lot of people. That's dope. A lot of people don't start because of their fears and doubts." Absolutely. Absolutely. Point
Right.
on.
Another thing I learned too, Valerie, was this. When I started NTD and when I wanted to start Nichols Knights Production, I kind of somewhat procrastinated because I knew what it took to run a business.
Mhm.
And so you procrastinate because you do realize and you do understand, what's coming to play. And
Mhm.
so I hesitated when I started Nichols Knights Production because I knew what it took in order to start a business. So a lot of people really do procrastinate. But in order for you to start, you just have to start
You just
and
got to
watch
start.
things flow.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You just gotta start.
You have to jump in and do it. You have to say, okay, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it. What? No, I do know when. I'm just going to do it. So you just have to start. Whatever that thing is, just start.
Right. I mean, but what do you have to lose by
Right.
starting? So
Right, by
I'm
starting,
talking to everybody. Like, what do you don't have anything to lose to get started.
to
So
get
just
started.
jump in and do it. Call a friend. I'm telling you. I think I think also one of the reasons that we don't beyond not starting and fears and all the things that you've mentioned is that accountability. I know for me, having someone to be accountable to has been definitely a point that has just changed everything. The book got started because somebody was holding me accountable, and I do mean holding me. I don't mean like, oh, you ain't feel like it today. Nope. Every time I would come into that meeting, they'd be like, well, what what did you do? You last week you said you're going to do X, Y, and Z. What did you do? Well, I didn't do A. Why didn't you do A? Well, then you need to go ahead and do A today. I mean, the group, it was a group of us. They were on me. And so you don't need anybody that's going to be like, oh, okay, well, go take a nap and do it later. No, you need people that's going to be in your face and really going to help you to move forward. So
Mhm.
you also mentioned about, I want you to talk about this, focus to execute, which is the idea, plan to succeed, which is the concept, execute reality, enjoy the journey. I love that. So kind of expound upon that. I know you kind of talked about it, but kind of expound upon that because I think for me that's something I would post on my near where I'm going to be writing my ideas out because that would help me to kind of stay focused.
I know for a fact that one of the reasons why I always tell people to enjoy the journey is because a lot of times we'll get into the act of trying to accomplish that particular goal, but we don't enjoy the process. And when we finish, and when we're at the end of that particular goal, we're kind of look back and say, man, how did I get here? What happened? Have you ever, for instance, sometimes I might go to a Walmart a certain way. Okay. Now, if my girlfriend wants me to come over to her house, unconsciously I'm driving and I'll end up at Walmart because I'm so used to going that way. And I'm like, I didn't mean to go here
Right.
because automatically my brain is just going, it's on autopilot.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And by
Mhm.
my brain being on autopilot, going in that direction, I'll end up at Walmart. But if you realize when you focus your attention, things happen. A lot of times we talked about procrastination. A lot of times when people procrastinate and they don't get started, how do you expect the universe? And people, when I say universe, I'm talking about God, I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about the universe. All of that for me is the same.
Okay.
Okay. So if I'm sitting back and if I'm not doing anything, how in the world do you expect for anything to happen? So one of the reasons why I say jump in and just start, because this is one of the things that I say, Valerie, the universe conspires to make things happen for me. So when I get started, and after when I write down my plan, and when I do everything that I can do, because all I can do is good enough, I just leave it. I just put it out there in the universe and say, okay, God, handle it. And that's when you just watch things work for you, watch things unfold for you. And a lot of this, Valerie, it still comes from the inside. It comes from the energy that you put out. It comes from the people that you hang around.
Mhm.
All of this stuff intertwined with each other. People
Right.
think I have it easy. I'm like, I don't have it easy. I just know what works. And what works is when you put it out there, when you have an idea, when you focus on that idea, when you plan and when you work, the universe conspires to make things happen for you.
Yeah. So listen, that idea of um just keeping it to yourself. I mean, you don't need to share all your ideas, but the idea of, and for me, is my prayer. Okay, Lord, here's my stuff. Can you help me with it? But the other part that you keep saying though is, but it's in you. I need to go find a corner somewhere and sit down because I think many times our minds are just too busy. We're so busy that we're not allowing it to come to us.
The
Matter of fact, when I wrote the book, I really wrote the book because I had a conversation with somebody who said you should have written a book by now, and I'm like, "What you talking about?" And then the more I thought about it, I was like, well, I've already started writing a book years ago. And I was like, oh my God. So by the time I put all my little pieces together, it was already there. It was already there.
It
So,
flows.
yeah.
And a lot of times, what people have to realize too is this: a lot of people pray, meaning talking to God. And when I say talk to God, when I pray, I'm talking to that still small spirit, that voice that's inside of me. When I
Mhm.
pray, I'm talking to that spirit inside of me. But this is where a lot of people fail. They don't listen.
Yeah.
How can you talk and not listen? So when I talk to God, when I pray, you have to be still and know that I am God. So
Yeah.
I meditate. I listen to that still small voice inside of me. And what
Right.
really works, Valerie, is this: trust. This is what I want your people to walk away with. This is that aha moment. This is that wow thing. This is what you should know. Trust yourself. Once you really begin to trust that still small voice inside of you, when it speaks and when you follow through with it, you begin to see things materialize. You begin to see your reality come true because you trust that still small voice inside of you. How many times have you actually said, man, I should have did this. Man, I should have did that. That was that still small voice telling you what to do, but you disobeyed it.
You just, yeah, 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 yeah. That is so, trust that, listen, that is so true. Being still, listening. What is you just talking? A conversation is between two people. You talking and they talking too. So you just need to decide what we're doing here. Okay, look, the comment section is blowing up over here. Great information. Yes, people don't start because they are afraid to fail. Now that's one right there. Like, what do you have to lose? There's no need. What they say? Fear is false evidence
Yes,
appearing
appearing
real.
real.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So like, people need to get off of that and just go and do it. And if it does fail, Josh, who's in the comment section, Josh is one of my former students. And Josh is doing really well for himself. He is really doing well. I'm really proud of you, Josh. Anyway, he was like, but a setback is not failure. It's a learning experience. And he's absolutely
Right,
right.
right. Definitely, definitely. You know, when things happen to me, Valerie, I don't look at it as good or bad because where I am today is because of my experiences.
Yeah.
Girl, I have some experiences and I love who I am because of those experiences. You know, they're not failure. They are lessons that I have learned. And a
Right.
lot of times people repeat those lessons. I am at the point in my life, girl, I don't repeat those lessons. When something happens to me, I'm like, okay, I see how that worked. I see how that happened. I know why that happened. We won't be doing that again. Girl, I'm at that age now, Valerie, where I don't repeat mistakes only because I learn from them. And
Yes.
that's one of the reasons too why a person will fail over and over again. It's not because they're really failing, it's because they didn't learn the lesson.
They didn't learn the lesson.
They
And
didn't
many
learn the
times,
lesson.
that lesson is you just didn't listen to either what you was hearing inside or somebody with wisdom that was trying to give you some information. I heard somebody say one time, you need to be careful about turning your nose up at people or not receiving information from certain people because God may use the least of people to send you a message. So you need to be paying attention in general because you never know where that little aha moment may happen, right?
And it all comes to discernment, Valerie, and discernment comes from trust. I'm telling you, one of the most important lessons that you can learn and one of the most valuable gifts that you can give to yourself, I'm telling you, is to trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Trust
Yeah.
yourself.
Yep. Tanya Woods just said that yourself. Experience should help us grow, not cause us to stand still. Yeah. Tanya Kendrick says, love this. I know somebody that has a bestseller still sitting on the shelf. I do too, Tanya. And actually, Louwendy knows that person too. We're not going to out anybody today. But yes, you got to do it. So here's my thing. I think that there are things that we have inside of us. I'm talking about generally everybody that somebody else is in need of. Somebody is in need of this show. I don't care how many people on here. There's somebody in need. There's somebody in need of the services that Louwendy Jenkins provides. And so when you don't share whatever it is you have inside you, and many of us, have these God gifts that we have. Listen, if you don't share it, then somebody is missing out on it. Somebody is missing out on that. So today, I hope this encourages people to really let me sit down and see what's inside me that I need to share with the world.
Right. And understand, it goes back to what's inside of you. Remember, all of us have gifts. All of us have natural talents and
Mhm.
abilities. What
Yes.
are yours?
Right. Ask
What are
yourself.
girl, what are your natural talents and ability? That's what you want to get paid to do.
Right. Right. So like I said, I have some people on here who reached out to me who they're in the middle. They're in the middle. We've talked about what and why already. I've talked that with them. Um, People get stuck on money, and I understand that's a need, but I also know, and I have also witnessed people being able to get things done without money. And I'm not one of those people who believes you have to have money to make money. I am not that person because my experiences have been different. I saw a friend of mine record a whole album and didn't pay a dime for it. I mean, I listen, I can't tell you. And that has to do with a character and integrity and all of that. And sometimes it has to do with just knowing wisdom, understanding wisdom, and finding grants. It can be a myriad of things, but you are not gonna know if that is your excuse. I'm not gonna do it because I don't have the money to do it. I think we need to get money out of the way. Can
You
you
do.
speak to us
I
about that?
remember. I remember Rita Davenport. I remember when I was at the post office, girl. One of the things that I did, Valerie, I used to listen to positive motivational speakers 8 to 10 hours and sometimes 12 hours a day, taking in all of this wisdom. And one of the things that Rita Davenport said was this: if money is your problem, you don't have a problem.
Ooh, say
You don't
that
have a
again.
problem,
Say
girl.
it again. Say it again.
Money is your problem. You don't have a problem. Because there are so many things that happen to us to whereas we can't fix, we can't repair, we can't control, and money isn't one of them. Honey, Valerie, I'm like this. I am so in tune with my spirit to whereas I'll end up praying out in the mornings when I'm meditating or when I'm doing my affirmations. I'm like, okay, God, listen, I need $10,000. I need $100,000. I don't know, because see, that's not my problem. I
Yeah.
don't know where you're going to get it from.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know how it's going to develop, but this is what I need in order to get this off the ground. And the universe conspires to make things happen.
See there? I love it. Yeah, we have to get these excuses. And money is one of the excuses. We've got to
Right.
get rid of the excuses. And I do believe that I believe that God waits for us to make a move. Like, why you waiting for him to make a, well, you haven't shown anything what you doing? You haven't even written it down yet. So you show yourself faithful also is something that I am often saying. Do what you can do, and then, like you said, you wait then for God to do the rest. I mean, but you gotta start. You gotta
You have to
start.
start. You have to start. A lot of people, in the past, and I hear this a lot. I'm waiting on God. You waiting on God to do what?
Yeah,
He gave you the abilities. He gave you the mind. He gave you the desire. It's inside of you. What are you waiting on Him for?
that's right.
I'm waiting on Him to move. You know He's waiting on you to do something.
Yes,
He's waiting on you to do
you gotta
something.
move. You
Right?
gotta
You
move.
have to move. You
Right.
have to start.
Yeah, you gotta start. You
You
gotta
have
you
to
gotta
start.
start somewhere. You gotta
And
start.
I do know you may have some people who are saying, "Oh yeah, that's easy for you guys to say. You do need money, honey. It's the certain thing called bartering now. I bartered a lot of my services. You could do this, okay? I'll do this for you. You could do that, okay? I'll do this. You can barter services. And now, Valerie, we don't have any excuses. You know why? Because you can make all type of money as a content creator on social media now. Years ago, we did have situations. People do not have an excuse for anything anymore
Right.
because this internet thing is phenomenal. Anything that you want, you can have your heart's desire. If it's money that you want, no excuse.
no excuse. But I just think that people got to get, like you said, no excuse. You got to get that out of the way. You got to decide what you really want, because I think still sometimes people, I mean, they say they don't know what they want. They know they want something. Generally people want money, but and not generally, but a lot of people want money and not focused on, but I have a God-given purpose. What is that, and what is all of this ideas that I have that I need to put out? So
Okay.
again, shifting.
Okay. Okay. And we can start from here. We can start from here. I had a show called The Hits Show, HITS. It stands for Hobbies, Interests plus Talents equals Salary. And so this is what I would tell those of you who say, well, I don't really know what to start and I don't know what my passion is. Hobbies, interests, and talents. What are your hobbies? Write them down. What are your interests? Write them down. What are your talents? Write it down. Boom, you got your answers. Hobbies, interests, and talents equals salary. Hobbies, interests, and talents equals sales. Hobbies, interests, and talents equals sanity, honey.
Yes, that's it. Let's go, folks.
That's hey,
Let's go.
that's your wow. That's
That
your
is the
wow.
wow right there.
Hobbies, interests, and talents. For those of you who say, well, I don't know where to start, I don't know what my desires are. I don't know what my passion is. Hobbies, interests, and talents.
Yep. Go get it.
Go get it.
I used to hear somebody say, go get it, because it ain't gonna come get you. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. So did we talk about how do we proceed from this conversation when the person who is mind is just all tangled up about what to do? What should they do when we get off of this live? What should they be aspiring to do, or what should they do first?
Valerie, everything was in our conversation. For those of you who don't know, start with hits. Start with write down all your hobbies, write down your interests, and write down your talents. Start there.
Mhm.
Start there, because
Mhm.
then that would give you some type of idea on, oh, okay, I didn't know that I knew how to do that. Write down everything. Just keep going. Keep going and watch everything just flow. Start with your hits. And once you start with your hits, remember those are just thoughts. From your hits, grab an idea. Look at how everything is flowing and packaging together. Your hobbies, your interests, and your talents. What do you have? What natural gifts do you have to bring about whatever it is that you want to do? That's where your answers are. They lie within your hits, your hobbies, your interests, and your talents. Sit back and say, okay, now what can I do with this? What can I create with this?
Mhm.
And then you start with the end in mind.
That's good.
What?
So,
Yeah,
all
your
right.
your vision. Yeah, your vision. What do I see from this? What do I want to take this? And then the more you begin to ask yourself questions, because this is another thing that I learned. You ask the right questions, you'll get the right answers.
Yeah. Yeah. Got to know get the questions. That's very important.
Right. You ask
Questions are
because
very
I'm telling you, your brain, that's one of the functions of your brain. Your brain tries to figure out how to make things work for you. Your brain is your protection. Your brain is your protector. Your brain is always trying to figure out what's best for you. So when you ask the right question, your brain is going to say, okay, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to
right.
do this? And
Yeah.
that's becomes also important. Before you lay down at night, you just sit with yourself and say, okay, this is what I went through today. This is what happened today. And this is the problem that I want to solve. And while you are sleeping, yourself will talk to you. Whether it's in a dream, whether it's in that still small voice, whether it's in a vision when you're closing your eyes, that's becomes also important. On your nightstand, have a pen and a piece of paper. So when thoughts do come to you, write them down, because
Mhm.
your brain has just given you an answer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a friend who kept a keyboard in his bedroom because he was like, he was like, it was like God would wake him up in the middle of the night and he'd have this song and he was like, oh God. And he played and recorded or whatever. So yeah, so I think what I hear is prepare yourself to be successful, or to go through this process, pen and paper beside your bed. Uh you have one of my friends who was telling me about that I need to get this book done. She was like, record it on your phone. Everybody has a recorder on their phone. record whatever your thoughts as they're coming. Just prepare yourself to be successful. So now I'm going to shift, because that person who, let's say they've gotten through most of what we've talked about today, and they're like, okay, I still need some help going through this, because what I have learned is there are certain things that I just don't need help with. I don't, when I'm looking for music for, for my students, I don't really need to call anybody for that. But when it comes to developing ideas, certain ideas, then I need help with that. So my question to you is, at what point does someone reach out to you and say, I need help, I need to secure your services?
Once you understand what you want, and because my next question is going to be, why do you want what you want?
Mhm.
Because I can't do anything until you know what you want.
Yeah.
It goes back to, and like I said before, I know I know some of the audience is saying, yeah, and they may have different segments on, this, that, and the other, but I am simplifying everything, because that really is as simple as it is, even though it has layers.
Yeah.
Start with the 5 W's. Start with the 5 W's. The who, what, when, where, why, and then the how will come.
Yeah.
Because once you know what you want, once you know why you want what you want, and then when you begin to plan, when you begin to write down your ideas, the how will come to you. Because remember, your brain is always trying to figure things out. Your brain is always trying to help you.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I have a thing with when I have clients, I'm like, we can work together if you write things down, not type it out. You can type it out, but for me, I need you to write it down, because there is some scientific study that shows the connection between literally writing and whatever it is you're aspiring to do. So writing and sitting down with that. Matter of fact, you have to have all that stuff written out before you come to me, because I don't want to work through what you need to work through. You don't
Right,
want to pay me to do that. So
right.
so yes. So if anybody on here is interested in securing her services, then you should reach out to her. I'm going to show you the banner in just a second, but you need to reach out to her and be sure that you have her contact information, so that we can start doing some great things together. Let's do this. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Here's her contact information. If you need to reach out to her, you have her email address, and then there's the Linktree contact information as well. If something happens and you lose it or whatever, you can always contact me at Life with Val D, or everybody, my Facebook page. You can send it there. Life with Val D. We're going to take a few questions. Do you have anything else you want to say before we go to the questions?
Yes. When I looked at your title, wow, I needed to know that. When I start preparing this morning, I start preparing for our topic this morning, not a week ago, because I just got back from vacation,
Yeah.
and then I had to play catch up. But this morning, I was like, okay, wow, I needed to know that. What do I want the audience to walk away with? What do I want them to walk away with? And just by us talking, I believe one of the things is, number one, trust yourself,
Yeah.
because the answers lie within.
Hmm. I
The
love it.
answers lie within.
Yes.
And then the second thing, Valerie, is this: because of today's society, everybody, well, I'm not going to say everybody, but a majority of the people want to be some type of entrepreneur. They want to be business owners. They want to be content creators. But this is one of the things that people fail to realize. There is work behind a business. No matter why you want your business, you need to understand that there is work behind that business. You may have a 9 to 5, you may work 8 hours a day, but if you own your own business, we're talking about 8 to 10 hours a day. I
Wow.
remember when I first started NTD, Valerie, of course I was younger. Girl, I remember in the summertime when I had those kids, me and my husband and I, we used to work at night. I used to come home. I think it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I used to take a shower. I used to prepare my lessons. I was at the Boys and Girls Club at 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. And then after that, I came home. So a lot of times I was up 2 to 3 days without any sleep. I used to drink coffee and Coke, girl. My husband used to tell me, baby, you need to stop drinking all that coffee and that Coke. I had to stay up because I went from the post office to NTD. So I was up. So don't think that this thing is going to happen overnight. You have to put in the work. And now when I listen to certain people, Valerie, they'll end up saying, I work 2 or 3 hours a day and I'm making this much money. But they don't realize, they're not telling you the back end of that. You might end up making $54,000, $100,000, but they don't tell you about taxes, girl.
Ooh.
They don't tell you about taxes. The only, because when I look at a lot of this content, a lot of people are constantly telling you how much money that they make. They're telling you about being a content creator and how they're getting all this free merchandise. That's good for corporations because they get an opportunity to write that off. But when they write it off, they're going to include your name and it's going to go on your taxes. It's free for them because they're giving it to you. They're going to write it off on their taxes. But honey, you better be careful because all of that money that you are accumulating from that free merchandise, that's merchandise with a value.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to see. So people tell you certain things, but they don't tell you everything. They may be making money, but honey, you better watch out for them taxes.
Yeah. What'd you say? Don't be wishing for what the Joneses has because you don't know how the Joneses have it or if they sleep at night.
Right.
That is so good. Okay, we have some questions here. Can you give an example of a time that you started and came across something that really challenged you? What helped you to get through it?
Okay, I'm going to go back to one of my very first incidents. It was with NTD. I wanted to start a summer program with kids. What correction? I already had my summer program because I had my students. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to include various youth groups. I wanted to have baseball teams come against each other, as groups. And when I went to one of my mentors and I was telling him exactly what I wanted to do, I kind of somewhat got discouraged because he said, when you're going to need insurance, you're going to need this, and you have to worry about this. And he was just telling me some of everything. And girl, when I got back home, Valerie, when I walked in the door, my husband knew something was wrong. I didn't even say anything. He was like, baby, what's wrong? I was like, I wanted to do this summer program, but I have all these obstacles and blah, 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 blah. And so what I did was I was like, you know what? This is something that I want to do. It's a challenge. I sat down, thought about everything, outlined everything, and I had my summer program. So It was a challenge. Was I afraid? Yes. Was I discouraged? Absolutely. But it was a desire that I had and I wanted to do. And I shut up, I sat down, and I made it happen. Made it happen.
Yeah. That's so at some point you have to encourage yourself.
You have to encourage yourself. Yeah. And it also goes back to what the young man said about failure. You just have to do it anyway. What are you afraid of? Mm-hmm. What was I afraid of? I was afraid of what could possibly happen.
What could
possibly happen?
Yes.
Of course you want to be able to alleviate some of those problems, but you're not going to be able to alleviate everything because it doesn't matter what you do. Girl, I have planned some things to the T, Valerie, and that's one of the things that my clients will see. Okay, let me back up. My strongest gift was also one of my weakest links. Whenever I used to give individuals, this was in the past, their information that they needed, girl, I had from A to Z what they needed to do, how they needed to do it, why they needed to do it. But what I didn't realize was this. I gave them the blueprint. They didn't need the blueprint. It was overwhelming. It was too much for them. So what I had to do was I created what I call the idea card. So what I did was only put down like 4 or 5 steps that they can actually do, that they can actually handle. And I kept the blueprint.
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
kept the blueprint.
Yeah.
One of my failures was giving people too much information and they were overwhelmed. But
Mm.
once I learned that, I was like, oh, okay, it's too much for them, but it wasn't for me.
For
Girl,
you.
you
Right.
give me an idea, I'm sitting down and going back to what you said, Valerie, when I first have an idea or when I first help a client out, the very first thing I do is I take my ink pen and I take a piece of paper and I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing down everything that I can think of. And then I'll go to the computer and transfer everything over to the computer.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to have a system, and that's
Yeah.
my
Right.
system. I write everything down first.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's good stuff.
Right.
That's really good stuff. I'm a stickler about writing things down and also getting to the point where, like you said, you have to encourage yourself through those rough places. Josh was saying, what as a Black woman, what would you say to other Black women who need to get started but might not have the support? And that was what I was saying earlier about you got to find support somewhere. And sometimes it is hiring a concept creator. Sometimes it's just like, Lord, I need you help. I'm gonna be my own encouragement.
You
But I
you have
understand the
to.
point.
You have
Yeah,
to, because it starts with you. It starts with you.
right,
How can somebody help you if you're not helping yourself? How can you encourage or motivate somebody else if you're not encouraged or motivated yourself? And you have to
right.
remember, energy attracts energy.
Yeah.
Okay, energy attracts energy. So if you sit down, okay, perfect example, affirmations. If who knows about affirmations, raise your
Mhm.
hand. Type in the comment
Oh,
affirmations, because
affirmation,
honey,
right.
I'm telling you, affirmations work wonders, because what you're doing with those affirmations, you are starting your day.
Yeah.
I start my day with this affirmation. Let me tell you my affirmation. And Stephanie Nicole, she loves my affirmations. And when I had Walking Resumes is another program for
Okay.
teenagers and young adults. And one of the things that I taught them was affirmations. Write yourself down an affirmation early in the morning and say it every single morning. My affirmation is, I am magnificently wonderful. I am brilliant in every way. Every person I meet instantly knows that I love and I give abundantly from my heart. When they see me, they see a woman full of God's grace, full of femininity, full of love, full of energy, full of life. God has given me his mercy and his grace. His love is embedded deep within me. I watch all of my dreams become a reality. I am still yet humble and grateful for all that I have, because I am a child of the Almighty God. I say that every morning, girl.
I love it. That's an affirmation if I've ever heard one.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So write out an affirmation.
Yeah.
Something positive. And remember what an affirmation is. An affirmation is something that you want to come true, wish to come true. So every time I say that in the morning, I'm telling myself, girl, you are magnificently wonderful. You are brilliant in every way.
Yeah.
So affirmations are things that you want to come true. So start with affirmations.
And listen, somebody Josh said we need to pass a collection plate on that one. Listen, this conversation is for every age. I think you should have your children do affirmations every day. I really do. I don't care if you're retired. You need to be doing affirmations, because as long as you're still in this earth, that means you have purpose in this earth. So
Right.
go get those affirmations written up. I used to do them all the time. I do a little bit here and there, but that encourages me to be more extensive with mine. I love that. That is absolutely awesome. Well, listen, we have come to the end. I want to give you your opportunity. I don't think I have any more questions. I have amen, affirmation. That's good. Energy attracts energy. Clearly, the fear of failure is our major fault. This show is anointed. We need to take up a collection. So we have some really good feedback here. I wanted to give you an opportunity as we close out to talk about the program, the ladies, I think it's Ladies in Red, where when you have all these vendors to come together. Can you share a little bit about that? Because um, to me, that is an ideal way of support and a way of supporting that I don't think we've heard of. Do you mind? Am I jumping out there too early on that one?
No, no,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
because it's happening this Saturday.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Okay.
yeah, a friend girls. Okay, I belong to this group called Friend Girls in the Rock. And in May, she texted and she said, "Does anybody have an event for June?" And so I came up. Okay, we're talking about thoughts again. We're talking
Mhm.
about ideas. And as soon as that thought entered my head, I was like, okay, she need an event for June. And so that's when I thought about I thought about white, because people have white parties. And I was like, no, because people have white parties. I said, what about red? Because number one, I love red. It's exciting, it's romantic, it's passion. I said, what about ladies in red? So when I thought about ladies in red, I was like, okay, that's the idea. Ladies in red. I was like, okay, now what do I want from this? Start with the end in mind.
Mhm.
What do I want when all of these ladies come together? One of the problems that I constantly have, and I see other people, not just women, constantly have, whenever we go to different type of events, people don't realize those vendors, girl, it takes time to gather up all of that, of all of your products. It takes time to pack, and then once you get there, it takes time to unpack. It takes time to load your car. And when you only make one or two sales, you're heartbroken. You know, if you don't break even, you're heartbroken. I was like, okay, what I would like to do is this. Every person coming to this event, they are coming to this event with the intention to purchase. So when you walk out of your house, you're coming to this event to purchase from somebody who's selling something. In order for you to know exactly what they're selling, what they have to do is they have to pitch. They have to
Mhm.
pitch. You make your pitch so outstanding, but you only have 3 minutes. An elevator pitch, you only have 3 minutes to sell me your concept and to sell me your business to make me want to purchase from you.
Okay.
So this event is all about intentional shopping. You're coming out to support other sisters. You're coming out to support other women. So, Friend Girls in the Rock is piloting the program. And once it's piloted, a lot of people can end up having this program for their groups, whether it's a church group, whether it's another women's organization. But now I'm thinking about just saying red.
Okay.
Red stands for ready, enthusiastically driven, because this is what entrepreneurs have to be. They have to be ready, enthusiastically driven. That's what red represents.
I love that. Now, can you share where the event is?
Yes, it's going to be in Little Rock, and I will provide the information. 11 Outer Creek Circle in Little Rock.
In Little Rock, Arkansas.
Little Rock,
So,
Arkansas. Yes,
uh,
from 9 until 11.
9 until 11. That's awesome. That's awesome. I wanted to share that because I thought it was such a powerful way of supporting. Because many
Each
times we
other.
go,
Hmm.
and next week I'm going to an area where they're going to have the vendors, and now in this particular event, oh, these vendors will absolutely make money. But I do, when I do go, I try to buy something from at least one vendor. There'll be
Right,
hundreds of vendors. But I think learning to support people when you go to events like that, I think is very, very important. Well,
right.
Louwendy, we've come to the end of this show, and boy, has it been a good one. I am
Good.
so grateful that you've taken the time to share with us, and I hope people are encouraged, and I hope those people that are online who were stuck with an idea are now motivated to get going, to answer those 5 questions. Feel free to reach out to Louwendy if you need her services. And for those people that have reached out to me about some ideas, now you know when you call me again, you know what you need to have ready. He's
Right,
already set you up.
right.
So again, I'm so grateful. Please take the time to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Life with Val D. I'm also on Facebook, and I've given you Louwendy's information as well. And we hope that you will tune in for our next shows. The fall season will actually begin in August, and I will be posting about that relatively soon. So stay tuned. We're going to have some great shows lined up for the fall. I think you're going to be really excited, and I think we may need to have you back, Louwendy. I'm thinking. I
Okay.
think this is really good and something that people need to know. Wow, I needed to know that. Part of
Right.
why I wrote the book. I wanted people to know certain things. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending a moment of your life with Val D. And I certainly hope you have a wonderful evening and a prosperous new year.